Okay, so this video is going to be about Pupps, P-U-P-P-P, for basically all you pregnant women out there that may have it or may think that you have it. Okay, so my wife had it. She had it bad. I mean, freaking bad. But before I go into the video, what I want to start off with is what one of her doctors recommended, and it worked. When we seen this particular doctor, he had several cases prior in regards to pups, and as soon as he saw her, he said, "Yeah," he said, "You got pups, and I'm going to put you on a steroid. It's called prednisone, 10 milligrams." And also, he suggested to her go ahead and get that Grandpa's pine tar soap. And I'll put the link below where we got the pine tar soap. And actually, if you're going to get the pine, well, we got it from Amazon. If you're going to get the pine tar soap, then I would suggest you guys get this scratcher here. It'll be easier for you ladies to scratch yourself. Also, if you have a significant other that's helping you, because they say not to scratch, but come on, if you have pups, I mean, you're going to freaking scratch. I mean, that's all her family members like, oh, you shouldn't be scratching. Like, believe me, if you have pups, you're going to be scratching. I mean, I went through it with her. I mean, she's like 39 weeks pregnant now, and we went through it. It kept coming back, going on, because she stopped taking a prednisone, and it came back, and then, I mean, it was a few times it happened, and it was, it was bad. She was crying, like. Anyways, like, even for your husbands out there or whatever, if you're trying to help your wife like sleep rather than constantly scratching her back or whatever, trying to help her, if you kind of get this, you can kind of be lazy and kind of like just kind of do it like this. Anyways, I'll have the links below for this, as well as the pine tar soap, and also I'll have a link below for the prednisone so you can read more about it and see the spelling and stuff like that. But the first thing that it's a steroid. So my wife was like, oh, like, to the doctor, like, do I want to be taking like a steroid? And he basically said that he's had several cases where they basically took prednisone and their babies came out perfectly healthy and normal. And he basically said, and my wife is like really weary about like taking steroids, but he said, pretty much anything is better than you stressing out constantly, not being able to sleep and stuff like that. That's the worst thing that you can do to your baby, versus taking this prednisone. So we took it. It was a miracle. But let me just go over the story, okay? The whole story, okay? Basically, she was at 22 weeks, and it is a boy. Most of it's boys, but like 20%, there's actually girls that they have baby girls, and they still have the pups. But anyways, 22 weeks, she started feeling like itchiness, like on her feet, and it was like on her hands. And it got to the point where she was just like pretty itchy. And it wasn't severe at that time, but it was pretty itchy. And we were living in Shanghai, China, so we went to the doctors there, and they thought maybe it was scabies or something else. And they were giving all kinds of like all these like special creams and oral tablets, and basically none of it worked. None of it worked, and within like 2 weeks later, after us going like in and out of the hospital like every other day because it was getting worse, within like a couple weeks later, I mean, it was bad. It was like all over her, and then what it did was it started coming into like, it was like moving together or something, and then it was like huge spots like all over. She even had like under her arms. Um, so what we decided to do was just fly back to the U.S. So the next day we booked her on a first class ticket back to the U.S. And as soon as she landed, she went to her original OB here in the U.S. And the OB didn't know what it was, so he prescribed her like benadryl, hydrocorizone, all these like anti-itch medicines and stuff like that. And of course, like none of it worked. And then she was constantly researching on the net, how to relieve this. She wasn't sure if it was Pupp or scabies or all these other names. So when I came back here, I started doing a research with her, and every night, I mean, like 11 at night or 12 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, I was constantly going to freaking CVS, buying like hydro, or that, what is that? Gold's Bond, lotion, the powder, coconut oil. We were doing a baking soda. She was doing baking soda in a bath, hot water, cold water, lukewarm water, Palmer's oil, aloe vera, I mean, the weirdest like lotions, the weirdest like oils, like you don't even like use for your skin, like use for your hair. But you know, a lot of people in the forum said, "Hey, I had some success with this." So we basically have like a box and it's full of creams and powders and junk, and none of it worked. Okay, so the OB eventually said, "Hey, go to this high risk doctor." We went to him. As soon as he looked at it, he says, "Hi, it looks like you have Pupps." He said he had quite a few patients over his years that had Pupps, and the two things he prescribed was the pine tar soap, which you get is not prescribed, but the prednisone is prescribed. It's a steroid, it's an oil tablet, and he suggested her take 10 milligrams along with using the pine tar soap. So, and at this point, I mean, it was bad. I mean, she was crying like every night. She was itching like crazy. She's just like, I'm like laying in bed. She's constantly like, ah, ah, ah. I mean, it was like constantly like she would not sleep the whole entire night. I mean, I wouldn't sleep either. And then I had to like scratch her back, like try to massage her foot, like everything I possibly could. Because I mean, it was bad. Like she couldn't wear clothes. She didn't want to wear nothing because it started making her itch. She was about to quit her job. Like, I mean, it was bad, like really bad. So anyways, she started taking 10 milligrams of this prednisone, and it probably took maybe after 1 week, and then everything started subsiding. And then it got to a point after about 10 days, it was completely gone. I mean, you would think that, you know, for you ladies out there, you probably think, I mean, if you're looking at your Pupps, you're probably like thinking you're going to have like major scars. I mean, I thought she was going to have major scars, like all around her, like chest, her like belly area, because it was like rash over rash over rash. But within like 10 days, it was about 10 days, everything was gone. Like she never even had the rash. So we went back to the high risk doctor, and he said he's going to start taking her off. So gradually go off, and if it comes back, he's going to put her back on it. So then she started taking like the 5 milligrams, and then she started taking like every other day. And it came to a point where she stopped. And then after she stopped, it was about probably like 5 days later, and then it started coming back again. So we went back to the doctor, asked him to give us the prednisone. So he gave us the 10 milligrams again, and then she started taking it. And then it started like going back down again. And then she was talking to one of her friends, and her friend knows this like great dermatologist from Los Angeles. So she's like, "Hey, why don't you just, you know, make sure that it is, you know, the Pupps, because you're taking steroids and this and that." So we made an appointment with this dermatologist, and we saw the dermatologist, and he said that he wants to rule out that if she has scabies first. So, and he advised that she stop the prednisone like cold turkey. So she stopped the cold turkey. This guy's like, you know, this guy's well known in the community, figured out what he's talking about. So she stopped it. They gave her testing. Like basically, they went into her stomach area where the rash is, and they cut out like 3 samples, and they had to stitch those 3 parts up. And they gave us scabies medicine. We had to put this stuff like all over our body, and it did absolutely nothing. The only thing it did was stain our bed sheets. So that was a freaking bummer. It pissed me off kind of. But anyways, so within like 4 days of her, for the test to come back took like a week and a half. So about 4 or 5 days after, you know, not taking a prednisone, waiting for our results to come back, like the Pupps came back with like freaking vengeance. I mean, it was like the 5th day started attacking her, and then it was about like probably like the 8th or 9th day. I mean, it was all over her body, and she was like crying, like she was going crazy. So anyways, a week and a half passed by. The doctor finally calls back up and to give us the news, and he's like, yeah, he's like, scabies is ruled out. A couple other things that were kind of major were all ruled out, but he says, you have Pupps. And I'm like, oh, great. Then freaking prescribe her the freaking prednisone, like right there and then. And he suggested to start off her with like 40 milligrams but you know, I mean, 40 milligrams, I mean, she took 10, it worked perfectly fine. Like, why does he have to jack it up to 40? Then we started reading on the internet, and there are doctors that prescribe like 40 milligrams. But my wife is still a little bit wary about that. You know, she's used 10 milligrams. It worked well. So anyways, he ended up prescribing like 10 milligrams, just like we did all the other times. And This time it took probably about like 7 days for it to start like alleviating, but during those 7 days, I mean, it was coming back stronger and stronger, even when she was taking the prednisone. And I mean, she was miserable. I was miserable. I couldn't sleep. Like, I mean, you know, going to work. I mean, almost had like a few accidents because I was so freaking tired, you know, driving to work. Um, so, anyways, it was about a week or so after. Then everything went back down again. Um, and her itching is pretty much right now is completely gone. And right now she's 39 weeks pregnant, so she's about to have the baby like any time. So the baby boy, he's healthy. He's at like 7 pounds right now. Everything is perfect. Everything's in place for him to be born. We're ready for him now. We got all the stuff in the house for him. But yeah, so right now what she's doing is she's starting to go back off the prednisone. She's taking 5 milligrams now, and then hopefully by the time the baby is born, I mean, she'll be completely off of it, and you know, she won't experience having that Pupps to come back, because that would, I think that would make it 10 times worse, having the Pupps at, you know, full fledged and being in labor, like, oh. But anyways, that's you know, this that's pretty much it on this video in regards to Pupps. If you guys have any questions or anything, just comment below. And everything I talked about, I'll have the links and stuff below so you guys can read about it. And I hope that helps you guys out, because I know, you know, people say, hey, you shouldn't be scratching, or, oh, you have scratch marks. Oh yeah, when you're pregnant and your skin stretches, you're going to be like itchy. Like, my wife just wanted to punch all of them. So, okay, that's it.